Hey there, welcome back to the String Things channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome and thank you for joining me today. My name is Mel. I'm a stay-at-home mom living in Vancouver, Canada, and this channel is where I share everything about my knitting hobby. So with spring around the corner and warm weather hopefully coming soon, I thought this would be a really great opportunity to bring you guys in on sort of the next phase of my wardrobe assessment. So if you are new here, I recently posted a video about how I'm using knitting to fill wardrobe gaps. And so with my knitting hobby currently supplying or adding to my wardrobe, it's my goal, or one of my goals this year, to take a closer look at what I actually have or don't have in my wardrobe and see if I can fill any of those gaps with knitting. And I explained in that video that I've narrowed it down to sweaters, cardigans, and sort of lighter sweaters, so transitional wear, but still using animal fiber, warmer fibers. So those are kind of the three garments I'm looking to add to my wardrobe. So this next phase of looking at those gaps, I wanted to go back and review some garments that I knit last year with the intention of wearing during the fall winter seasons. So we're pretty much done winter here. I hope I didn't jinx anything by saying that. But I have chosen 4 garments. They all appeared in my Everything I Knit for 2022 video. However, at that time, due to the number of garments I was showing in that video, I didn't get an opportunity to really speak at length, or at the length that I'm going to speak about them today. And also not enough time had passed by to do a proper review or critique on those items. So you could say that it's now time to run performance reviews. The probation period has ended for these garments. So now is the time to really give my honest thoughts about these. I'm hoping that by conducting these performance reviews on my knitted items, that I'll also get a better sense of my style, because not only am I kind of grading these knitted items, I'm also kind of grading my wardrobe, how I use them, didn't use them, how they worked with other outfits, versatility, wearability, all of that. I feel like I'm still searching for my own personal style. I feel that my lifestyle has gone through a couple of changes. I don't go out as often as I used to, and when I do go out, it's not to the same places. You know, the Melissa in her 20s was going out to bars and clubs every weekend. That's not what I'm doing now. And so I also will have to be looking at what's currently holding space in my wardrobe that I could let go. I don't see myself going to the same bars and clubs anymore. So maybe it's time to let go of that kind of clothing. And maybe that will actually create space for more knitted items. But before we jump into letting go of that kind of stuff, let's circle back to these 4 garments that I want to review. So how the performance review is going to work is that I've considered kind of 7 questions for every garment. And those being: 1, did I wear it? 2, how often did I wear it? Where did I wear it? So like the purpose of the garment. What did I wear it with? So what outfit or outfits did I create with this? And 5, why do I think it was worn as many or as little times? 6, what changes could be made to make it more wearable? So whether it was a good or a bad garment, for lack of better words. And are those changes feasible? And 7, if I wore this garment a lot, is it something that's worth duplicating? Should I knit another one, but in a different color, for example? So the 4 garments that I'm running performance reviews on are my Cumulus Blouse, must-have cardigan, Wednesday sweater, and my Chantilly cardigan. So at least, 3, almost 4 months, that's minimum, has passed for all those garments. Some of them longer, but I think that's a long enough probation period. And also given that, full fall winter season has passed. So this is going to be a good time for a fair assessment of these garments. So before I jump in, I just want to say that I apologize if it seems I'm kind of shifty-eyed. I do have notes with me to kind of keep track and make sure I touch on each question properly. And if my hair looks a little bit staticky or crazy, I just put Darcy down for her nap, and before her nap we were playing like blanket fort, so I just had a blanket rubbing on the top of my head for about 10 minutes, so it is what it is. All right, so garment number 1 is my Cumulus Blouse. I apologize, I'm not going to be putting any of these on. It's actually quite warm, and this will just save some time if I'm not putting this on and off. But here it is. This was made with 2 strands held together of We Are Knitters Touch Me mohair. This is a petite knit pattern, and I knit the smallest size, which I think it's called extra small. But yeah, so this is something I completed a number of months before I even started this channel. I started this channel in August, and I finished this top in April. And when I created this top, I absolutely did not consider my wardrobe at the moment. I didn't even think about whether I really needed it, or it's just something I wanted to have, and I just thought it was really interesting. I had never even knit with like mohair or brushed alpaca at the time. I also made one for my cousin as a gift, and yeah, so this was a complete like somewhat impulsive cast on. So did I wear it? Yes, absolutely yes. How often did I wear it? I wore it pretty often, and this has turned out to be quite a versatile piece for my wardrobe. I've been able to wear this with jeans, with over top a dress, with a skirt, and I can wear it while I'm just hanging at home with Darcy. It's been good for even like a casual date with my husband. I wore this to Knit City, Canada, or Knit City, Vancouver in September last year. This Cumulus Blouse has been all over. So that covered questions 1 to 4 actually. Wow. So why do I think it was worn so many times? I think the color is quite neutral. It's just, a kind of a creamy white, so it goes with everything. And the fit of it is not, I would call it like a relaxed ease. It's not oversized, it's not fitted, it's kind of comfortable. And I think that allows it to be worn in different occasions, different situations very easily. It layers under things very well. And also being it made up of mohair alpaca blend, it's quite light, so it can actually layer over top of things like dresses. So when it's slightly chilly and I've got maybe spaghetti tank top style or a short sleeve style type of dress, this layers over top really easily, and it's airy, so air can actually still pass through, so it's not something I feel like I get sweaty in. So those are all great things about this blouse. 6, what changes could be made to make it more wearable? I honestly don't think there is anything I could change for this one. It's pretty bang on. When I wear it over a dress, because of the length, I wanted this to obviously be long enough to wear with jeans, so it had to be, not a crop top, for example. But I think a crop length works better over top of a dress. But the way I get around that is I actually use one of my daughter's clear hair elastics to kind of like bunch up the bottom of the top. I'll like take some of the top, I'll put the elastic around and then tuck it under to whatever kind of crop length that I want that works with that dress. Or I guess a skirt I could actually tuck it in, but if I didn't feel like tucking it in, I'd use this method. And then it works. So that's really nice how I can wear it, you know, full length, so it hits me like right at my hip. It's just long enough to also tuck into the front of my jeans if I want to do a French tuck. So I don't think there is anything I could change. Like, I really, really have enjoyed this blouse, and I've enjoyed it more than I ever thought I would. I had some serious doubts about even making this garment after I cast off. I was really questioning why I even chose to knit it. It was definitely like, I just want to try this yarn. I just want to try making a V-neck top. Yeah, and it turned out really well. Now, the last question is, because this falls into the I wore it so many times, is it worth it to make another one in another color? And I actually do have plans to make a black version also with the We Are Knitters Touch Me mohair. And that's something I will probably cast on maybe late spring, maybe even summer, just because it's going to be like a quick and relatively easy project that I can jump in and out of. And I'll probably leave it at that. I've thought about, I don't want to go too crazy and think that I need it in every color under the sun, because that's also something I need to think about with my wardrobe, is that some colors are really great, but they don't layer or match well with other things. So if I had to give some sort of like grade for my Cumulus blouse or rating, I'd say it's like a 5 out of 5. If I was just trying to think, because I've used the term performance reviews, because I was thinking about this is what you would do in a workplace business setting, for example. So this one definitely passes. It doesn't need to be on a probationary period anymore. Congratulations, you've been hired as a full-time piece in my wardrobe. That is the rating I give my Cumulus blouse. All right, next item up for review is my must-have cardigan. And oh, the sun is out from behind that cloud. It is a really beautiful, gorgeous day. Darcy and I were out at the park. Yeah, it really feels like spring is not quite here because of the temperature, but it's coming. So next item up for review is my must-have cardigan. So here it is. This is something I cast on in the summer because with the whole cable, like all over cables, I thought it was going to take me a while, and I really wanted to make sure it was something that was ready by fall. So the must-have cardigan, that is the name of the pattern, and it's a free pattern from Yarn Inspirations, and I knit mine using Canadian wool from Briggs & Little, and the yarn line is called Regal, and the color is in light brown. It is quite a rustic yarn, but I think it was quite the perfect texture kind of yarn to use for cabling, because it has really the right amount of toothiness. And this one I fully intended to make to be kind of like a layer to, I was always thinking I would have a top underneath, so I wasn't too worried about if it was gonna feel too rustic or scratchy on my skin. But yeah, this was something that was kind of on my like knitting bucket list when I first started knitting. I knew that one day I really wanted to have a V-neck cardigan, and I wanted something with all over cable, so it took some time to find a pattern, and I landed on this one. I do have a full episode on this garment alone, so check that out. I think it's episode number 3, so if you want to know really everything about it, my experience with the yarn, the pattern, check that out. But yeah, I'm really love how the cables turned out. I love how like the texture, like it's really fun to just touch. It's good tactile experience with this. So yeah, let's get into the questions. So have I worn this? Yes, but not that often. And unfortunately, not as often as I thought I would. So when I did wear it, I've worn it as a layer to the park with Darcy, and I think that's the only time I wore it. I apologize if you hear some banging. I opened up the door because it was getting a little too warm in my apartment here. What did I wear it with? So pretty much only have worn it with jeans and over like a light top, kind of like what I'm wearing right now. Or I had like a really thin turtleneck that I've worn it with, but it's definitely more of a casual piece. And I think I've tried to wear it over a dress, but I can't recall. But it just might have been one of those random play days where Darcy really wanted me to wear a dress because she's got this she's in this phase of wearing dresses right now, which includes I have to wear a dress. So that brings us to question 5. Why do I think it was worn so little? And this is something that, it kind of hurts because I had such high hopes for this garment. And if you've watched that episode, then you know that I had to adjust what size I was going to knit up because I didn't hit gauge. And then I ended up having to aggressively block this. So this is knit up in pieces and then seamed together. So I was very careful to block all the pieces to whatever size I made. Medium, it might have been. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I did indeed block all the pieces to the correct dimensions. But even after that, turned out the sleeves are not long enough for me. And the body length is not long enough. So because of that, while I am wearing it, it's uncomfortable so I kind of like my garments to be set it and forget it. Like, I don't want to be fussing about my clothing while I'm wearing it. And that's what happens when I wear this. Because the sleeves aren't long enough, and they're not too far off, but I feel like they kind of get sucked into my armpit. So I feel like I'm always tugging on the sleeve because I want it to be longer. And the same goes for the body. So because of that, I haven't been reaching for it. So what changes could be made to make it more wearable? I could make the sleeves and the body longer. However, this was knit bottom up in pieces, so it's not, quite an easy alteration to do. I have thought about doing some knit surgery because the ribbing isn't too long. So I could theoretically kind of make the ribbing longer on the end of the sleeves, and as well as the end of the body, I can make the ribbing longer and hope that my stitches line up okay, because I'm knitting in the opposite direction than how this was originally knit up. So it's definitely possible. The alternative change would just to be reknit a whole new one from scratch, because I do have some leftover yarn. I think I have about 2, almost 3 skeins left over of this yarn, and then I could, I guess, frog or harvest yarn from this one to make a new one. But I am not very keen about all the work that goes into, or that went into, making this cabled sweater. It took me a long time because of the kind of rustic feel and all the cable work. I think this cardigan might have taken me 3 months or more, or around there. So that's a lot of time to invest. But if it means that I get something that I'm going to wear a lot and potentially keep in my wardrobe for years to come, then that's potentially, a good investment. So the cardigan is still wearable, so I haven't quite decided on what change or fix I'm going to do. Obviously, the former is less work. So that may be what I decide to do, but I'm gonna kind of mull it over this next spring, summer, and see if that is something I want to actually tackle. So yeah, since I didn't wear this many times, question 7 doesn't apply to this. So if I had to give a rating to this cardigan, this is something that's going to have to stay in the probationary period. It needs work. It's, not a full-time wearable piece the way it is right now. So it's going to be up to me whether I want to put more work, put more time into making it a better garment for me. Third item up for review is my Wednesday sweater. And here it is. This is a large sweater. It's going to be too big to hold up. But the gorgeous Noro Silk Garden Silk. I said that really strangely. Wow. Noro Silk Garden Solo in the color Omitama or 1. And this is so Silk Garden Solo is the worsted weight. There's also Silk Garden Sock Solo, which is what is used in the petite knit sample for the terrazzo sweater. And this is so this sweater came about because this is really the first time I was greatly influenced by Instagram and by Tiffany Liu of Typical Bliss to buy yarn. I just kept seeing it on Instagram, and what really pushed me to purchasing the yarn was that Tiffany purchased this weight of yarn to make her sweater, and then that gave me the confidence that I could find this colorway, because I was having trouble finding it in the sock weight version, but I could find this weight. So some thoughts about this sweater before I get into the questions. So the yarn was the main driver for creating this sweater. Again, did not assess whether it was something I needed for my wardrobe. That is going to be the trend for the next item and most of my items, if not all, for 2022. Obviously, I've said that I have gaps in my wardrobe and I have room for sweaters, but I just did not have this kind of thought process in 2022. So I was surprised with this sweater. I was initially worried about making a turtleneck because I thought it was just going to be so warm. So this yarn is a wool mohair silk blend. I'll put it up on the screen, the actual proportions of each of those fibers. But I expected this to be really warm, and I was worried that I was going to be limited to only really cold days to wear this. However, this turned out to be colder than I thought, which is actually great because I have been able to wear this. So the answer to the first question is yes, I have worn this, and I have been able to wear this more times in more ways than I thought I would. So frequency of how often I've worn this, I've definitely worn this. I think I was almost wearing it like every week in kind of like December, like prime winter time. So not worn as many times as my Cumulus Blouse, but definitely got a lot of use. And I was wearing this to the park, running errands, going grocery shopping, something that's also comfortable enough to wear with my daughter at home. which is a bonus. And I was wearing this pretty much just with jeans. I'm in jeans all the time. And yeah, this isn't because of the length and the oversized fit of this one. It's not something I was wearing with dresses or skirts, but I'm also someone that doesn't really like wearing a lot of dresses and skirts, especially wintertime. Summertime, yes. Wintertime, no. Like, you will hardly ever... Actually, do I even own a sweater dress still? I think I have one. But what I'm trying to say is I don't really wear dresses or skirts in the winter unless it's going to be inside and I'm at a Christmas dinner or something like that. Okay, so that brings us to question 5. Why do I think it was worn that many or little times? So in this case, I think I was able to wear it so often. Well, one, the color makes it, it's not quite a statement piece. It is colorful, but the colors are muted, I guess you could say. It's really comfortable, and it's something because of the colors. I can hang out with my daughter and I'm not too worried about getting stuff on it. So if I do happen to get some crumbs or whatever on it, it's kind of hidden. And it's relatively easy to spot clean. I feel like the silk kind of just prevents anything from really soaking in too much. But I haven't really had any like terrible staining or instances where there's been, you know, like juice or milk spilt on it, for example. If anything, it's just mostly crumbs, dry stuff I've been having to deal with. But also just like wearing it, I can walk with my daughter, I can carry her while I'm wearing this. This is something I'm going to touch in the next garment. And it can just be worn with jeans. And again, I said it ended up being kind of cooler than I thought it was going to be. So I can wear this comfortably inside at home without overheating. And I'm someone that runs cold, so this is really great for me to have this cozy sweater to wear at the house or inside as well. But also being able to wear it outside under a jacket has been great too. So question 6, what changes could be made to make it more wearable? So this isn't a near perfect garment in my opinion, as you know, not like how I was thinking with the Cumulus Blouse. Don't think any changes can be made to that garment. However, if I were to make this kind of style again, I think I would try to make it with a little bit less ease. Sometimes I feel like it is too oversized, and I don't know, it's really comfortable, but I struggle with kind of the extra bulk in the armpit area for getting it under jackets. So is that because all my jackets just have really small armholes? Would this be fixed if I actually bought a different jacket to wear over top of this? So, but is that really worth it to add another jacket to my wardrobe just to accommodate the bulkiness in the armpits of this garment? I don't know. The other thing I question about this garment is the size of the cuffs. So they are really comfortable, really wide. Like I really like the look of the big wide cuffs, but as someone who is always rolling up my sleeves, even if I'm not doing like dishes or work, I just have this tendency to always be rolling up my sleeves. I don't know what it is or when it started, but it's what I do. And so this is obviously harder to roll up and stay up because of the width of the cuff. So that's the only thing. But I don't know if I would actually change that on the sweater because the wide cuff really goes with the whole silhouette, with what's going on with the whole sweater as a whole. So not going to attempt to change the sleeves on the sweater. I'm going to leave it as is and kind of accept that it's not the best roll up the sleeve kind of garment. If worn many times, is it worth it to make a duplicate? So I don't think it's been worn in the same high frequency as the Cumulus Blouse, so I don't think it falls under the I'm going to make this again. I would definitely love to work with this yarn again, but I don't know, like I'm not itching to make another Wednesday sweater anytime soon. Certainly not with this kind of amount of ease. So maybe I'll make another turtleneck to add to my wardrobe, but not this particular pattern. Okay, so my final rating for the Wednesday sweater. It can come off the probationary period. It's definitely something that I will accept as a, full-time garment for my wardrobe. It's not perfect, but it's not far off, and it's something that I really love because of the yarn that went into it. It's something different. I feel a bit special in it because of the yarn, because of the colors. It feels very unique. So that definitely gives it some points there. It kind of loses marks because of the fit. I think I shouldn't have made such a large oversized sweater, but it's really comfortable. It is something I can wear with my daughter as well. So yeah, it doesn't receive as high of a rating as a Cumulus Blouse, but like I'd give it like a 4 out of 5 stars, for example. And yeah, so that's my Wednesday sweater. So the fourth and final item under review is my Chantilly cardigan. So my Chantilly cardigan, again, something I didn't consider about whether it fit in my wardrobe, whether I, needed to fill a gap in my wardrobe with this. Again, something I just really wanted to have. I mean, it's a really beautiful design. I love the big collar, the femininity of it. And this one's really special because it is knit all with hand-dyed yarn by dyers here in BC. And it was yarn that I purchased, all of it, at Knit City, Vancouver. It was my first time attending any kind of like yarn convention, do you call it? Yarn show? I don't know what you call those things. And I was really adamant about finding like the right kind of color. I was really after this perfect, sage green color. And so it's also really special because I worked so hard to knit this up in a size that worked for me and how I envisioned styling it. So, it's a bit of a trophy, something that's proof of my perseverance, and I'm just really proud of it as well. So let's get into the review of it. Did I wear it? Yeah. Again, this is something that I didn't wear it as often as I thought. I'll get into the reasoning in the later question. So how often did I actually wear it? Definitely, I might have worn it every month since I completed it in October, but definitely, I don't think it was more than once a month, honestly. Where did I wear it? So I have worn this, I think it was like friend's dinner, and I wore it when my husband and I had a trip to the island without Darcy. So pretty much if I wasn't going to be with Darcy, I wore this sweater for a special occasion. And I always wore it with a pair of jeans. So why do I think it was worn so little? So there is an issue with the color. And I know I said I was kind of hunting for the perfect color, but I think this color doesn't quite work for fall winter. I think it speaks more to spring. And also, I did not use the recommended yarn for the Chantilly cardigan. So my fabric is, I would say, thicker. It's almost like a sweatshirt, but I also mean that like not in negative light in any way, because it's so cozy and squishy. But that means I have issues fitting this cardigan under almost all of my jackets. So it does fit under like a bigger parka, but it's not always cold enough to wear that parka that I have. So if I try to squish it into a different jacket, I start to feel too warm in the armpit area. So this is an issue I have with almost every drop shoulder garment I have created. This excess bulk in the armpit area, not fitting in my jackets. This is obviously something I need to learn going forward. But had I knit with the recommended yarn, which is a lighter fingering weight, I think I could fit that under more of my jackets, because I think, you know, it's thinner. I think it would have worked better. So I think this garment will actually, I'm hoping, is going to be more of a spring item. So where it's, you know, not warm enough to just go out in a t-shirt, this cardigan could very well act as a jacket for spring. And then I don't have to worry about trying to fit it underneath a jacket, for example. The next thing why I think I didn't wear it as many times is that I feel like this cardigan is too precious to wear around my daughter. And part of that is because this fabric is so soft that when my daughter starts climbing on me, or when I have to try to pick her up for whatever reason, the top button always pops out of the buttonhole. And I think it's just because it's so smooth, and the button is really smooth, and the way that my daughter, when she climbs on me, it just tugs, so the cardigan gets pulled open. And I prefer to wear this completely closed. I think it looks better when it's totally closed. And I'm really glad that it just pops open when my daughter pulls on me, rather than like it being just like tugged and that buttonhole just getting larger and larger after each time that happens. But because of that, and because I mentioned how I don't like to fuss about with my clothing when I'm wearing it, that is a reason why I don't wear it as often. And because I'm with my daughter full time, stay-at-home mom, there isn't many occasions where I'm away from Darcy to wear this garment. So unfortunately, it doesn't get a very good rating. But before I get into that, let's finish off the questions. So number 6 is what changes could be made to make it more wearable. And I don't think I can make any kind of quick fixes to improve wearability of this cardigan. I kind of have to accept that it's just something that's not working as well as other items. But I think changing the intended season for this cardigan maybe might put this back into a more wearable category. So I'm going to see what happens after this spring and see if it gets worn more often. So it's something that's going to have to go under review after the spring season. Yeah, so since I didn't wear this one very many times, number 7, the is it worth it to make a duplicate, doesn't really apply to it. So what's the final rating on the Chantilly cardigan? It's not very good. It's kind of like on par with the must-have cardigan, because those things, out of the 4 garments I have discussed, those 2 are definitely the ones I have worn the least in comparison to the Cumulus Blouse and the Wednesday sweater. And I feel bad because I worked so hard on this Chantilly cardigan, but because I worked so hard and I think the yarn is so precious, that has put it in a it's almost too nice to wear category. And I don't like that I do that with some of my clothing, because why have it if I'm not going to wear it and enjoy it? This is something I'm at odds with, even with some store-bought clothing that I have. So like the must-have cardigan, this is going to kind of stay in a probationary period. I am not accepting it as a full-time garment at this point. So as I said, I'm going to wait till after the spring season. This is going to come back for another performance review, and we'll see how I feel then. That is all the items I wanted to share with you guys. That's all the items I've done these performance reviews on. And I hope you kind of found this interesting, and I want to know, let me know in the comments if this is something that you already do with your knitwear or even your store-bought items, or maybe I've inspired you to do this with your own items. And I totally understand if this is something that some people may not even consider doing, because this is a hobby. And I totally agree that this is something that you should have fun with. And this year, with me merging my hobby and kind of my wardrobe goals together, kind of it a little bit can take away the fun, or constrains or limits my hobby. But I also feel with my assessment of my wardrobe, and considering that my knitting hobby, or this hobby, contributes to my wardrobe, I don't want my hobby to become a thing that creates excess garments for my wardrobe. And as time goes on, and after every piece is made, the gaps in my wardrobe are going to become fewer and fewer, and potentially I might hit zero. There may be zero room in my wardrobe for further knit items. So how do I keep having a knitting hobby without causing excess? And that is something I am kind of starting to think about. So do I change from a product knitter to more of a process knitter? Do I just choose projects that are going to take longer? However, if they take too long, am I going to still like the product at the end? Am I still going to enjoy knitting? Because am I going to crave things that, take only a month to knit up versus 3 months? So something to think about and consider in the future. So some final thoughts for you guys. I know some people might consider this as overthinking the whole knitting hobby, wardrobe gaps, but it's something I take somewhat seriously. I want to have this hobby, but I also don't want to have too many clothing items to choose from. I don't like seeing too much in my closet. I also have a limited space in my closet, so I want to be really intentional and have items that are going to have longevity, but also be versatile. And I need to be really more honest with myself about what my current lifestyle is, and let go of the going out clothing that I would have worn to bars and clubs, except that I am a full-time mom at the moment, and I need to be making things, purchasing things that I'm comfortable with wearing when I'm with my daughter, which is the majority of the time, and also just not hold things as too precious, and enjoy the things that I've created, and show it off, even if it means potentially getting jam or paint or chocolate croissant on it from being with Darcy. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if there's maybe some other garments that you saw in my Everything I Knit for 2022 video, and if you'd like me to do performance reviews or on any more items, let me know. Definitely open to it. And so until next time, guys, happy knitting. Bye.